Truly, watching Donald Trump indict these gangsters to their faces while they had to sit right in front of him in that intimate setting in the rotunda for Republicans was remarkable. They had to sit there and take it just minutes after Biden, who we're looking at here, pardoned his entire family. Donald Trump today, we've spent 99% of our time today, and Democrats spent 99% of their time during the election talking about January 6th. And I would just humbly and respectfully submit to you all that if this is the conversation you intend to have and the script you intend to read for the next 4 years, you are going to continue to get politically punished by the American people who are desperate to look into the future and not continue to wring hands about the only person. I'm sorry.
The only person.
This video is brought to you by Tatum Store, Make sure you get some of our inaugural merch. And also, we have our doormats. We're finishing up. We're going to make them available here soon. T-Force is also in stock and being prepared to be launched. So if you want it, you better get it now. We have a limited supply. So as soon as I make it live and active, they're going to be gone. So right now, go to synergylife.com and you put notify me when made available on the T-Force, because it's going to be launched here in the next few days. So be ready, be prepared. I've been taking it every day. I feel amazing, and I'm excited because it's my something. Anyway,
we, in truthfulness and reasonableness, consumed with the victory in Trump's speech. And I think that's very important. But what we missed out on, and I think that people are not understanding this, is that the people that Joe Biden pardoned, I cannot believe that this is a thing, right? There has never been a situation in this United States history where a president preemptively pardoned people who haven't been convicted of any crimes, right? The pardon and the communal or the commuting of someone's sentence is because you believe that they were wrongfully charged or that the charges in which they were charged for were antiquated, which means that that's no longer against the law anymore. So you can commute somebody's sentence or you can pardon them because that charge or that crime is outdated and they deserve to have another opportunity, or because you think somebody was politically targeted and the president believed that they shouldn't be sentenced or convicted. But when you go out and you preemptively, in part, pardon your son, because he did pardon for 2 actual crimes that he did, which I think is wrong. Hey, it's your son. I probably pardon my son too if it happened that way. But then when you go preemptively, right, you don't just pardon him from the 2 crimes that he was convicted of. You went back 11 years, which encapsulates every investigatory endeavor that alludes to the fact that Joe Biden was colluding in Ukraine. His son was making dirty money with foreign governments. It goes all the way back to his time as vice president, which all of that stuff he did that we've all been talking about and that people that should have been investigating all this time, it will show that he's guilty. 10% to the big man, Burisma, all of that stuff, quid pro quos. He literally protected his shielded off his son from ever being investigated by things he actually did. And let me just add another part. Some of the other people that he had, pardoned, and we got a couple of videos that we'll play. A couple other people that he had pardoned, and I think on the actual pardoning or clemency document that you can see right here on the screen, James Biden, which is his brother, Sarah Jones Biden, Valerie Biden Owens, John T. Owens, Francis W. Biden. That's literally his family that he pardoned. That's his family. He literally pardoned his family. When he's out of office, they can't go after his family. And it's crazy because your family didn't commit crimes, they can't go after him anyway. But if your family was involved in a criminal enterprise, you know that there's leverage there to go after your family. Let's move on. I mean, he didn't just give part to his own family. He got Dr. Fauci, General Mark Milley, members of the J6 committee, with Liz Cheney, all of them, completely gave them clemency. That means technically that they could be charged, but there won't be penalties, strong enough penalties associated. Let me just articulate this real quick because I didn't say this at the beginning. If you pardon somebody, that means that you're pardoning their crime that they committed, that they were charged with. If you give a person clemency, what you do is they can be charged, they can be convicted, they can be a convicted person. But if you grant them clemency, or commute their sentence, then what literally happens is that the person's penalty is reduced or eliminated or put aside, yet their charges are still there, if that makes sense. So if a person gets convicted of, I don't know, selling drugs, and you grant them clemency, what happens is they may have served 10 years, but they don't have to serve any more time. So there's no more time that they have to serve, but yet they're still charged. This charge is still on their record. And so giving clemency to his family, Dr. Fauci, Mark Milley, and J6 committee, I believe that Donald Trump can still pursue, and the FBI can still pursue prosecuting them. But when the rubber hit the road and there's time to go and be sentenced, they're not going to go to jail. So that to me is very, very interesting, because I don't think that any president in history has done this preemptively. None of his family members have officially been charged with anything. I don't even think there's an ongoing investigation into his family. Unless there is and we don't know about it, the public don't know about it. But when it comes to Dr. Fauci and Mark Milley and the J6 committee, as far as I know, there's no active investigation into at least Mark Milley and the J6 committee. Dr. Fauci, I'm surprised he didn't go to jail already for him lying to Congress. Rand Paul exposed him 100,000 times before Congress. But this has never happened in the history of this country. This is the most abuse that I've ever seen by a president of executive power to pardon, to give commute people sentences, which is also could be considered to be clemency, and all of the above. But let's play a couple clips here that's associated with this, because I want you to see how they berated Donald Trump for years. They literally raked him over the coals for years. And then when they do it, they act like it's totally fine. Roll the clip.
Have you ever heard of somebody getting a preemptive pardon who was innocent of all crime? Who's just an innocent person? Have you ever heard of that? Just somebody getting a blanket pardon and they're an innocent person?
But no, it's the president's own family. It's people that have been covering up for the president in addition to his own family.
Is there an innocent explanation for someone to seek preemptive pardons for family members? Would you do that if you knew you were innocent and just worried about outside forces?
The answer to that is going to be no. If you haven't done anything wrong, you sit there and go, what do you need a preemptive pardon for?
If he pardons people preemptively, he's essentially telling the public that these people have committed crimes. And we may not be aware of what they are, but the pardon is clear evidence that crimes have been committed.
I imagine if he decides to issue these preemptive pardons, it will be cast in a way that he is protecting his family and protecting their reputations from, villainous exterior forces that are against him.
First off, we should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability and that of his family members that pardons are a major obsession with him.
The idea of a kind of prospective pardon, this sort of permanent federal get-out-of-jail-free card. That seems to be what we're talking about in the case of this, right, with Giuliani and his 3 eldest children who, as far as we know, have not been convicted of a crime. Maybe they've committed a lot, and they don't want to face action. I don't know. It's weird. I wouldn't ask for a pardon. I don't think I deserve one because I don't think I've done anything criminal. But, where does that come from, that concept that you can just kind of wave your magic pardon wand?
We have Tish James. We have Xavier Becerra. Mimi Roca is literally my DA in my town. There will be opportunities to prosecute these people regardless if they abuse the pardon power as they are thinking.
Hopefully, Ellie, there will be a skyfall on this entire crime family, and there will be another day for them to die.
The president does indeed pardon, let's say, Rudy Giuliani or any members of his family. Would you see that, and I asked Preet Bharara this question, as essentially an admission of guilt?
I certainly would view it that way. I think millions of Americans would view it that way. If there was no belief in criminality, why would he think a pardon was necessary?
CNN has learned President Biden will pardon his son.
Okay. Give me the big screen. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard this unequivocally and very clearly, that when they do it, The reason I'm posting this video and the reason that I'm doing it the way I'm doing it, because it's very simple. These leftists get all of this and they say all of these things, and they're very disingenuous. You will never see any of these people that I just played in the former clip where they're bashing Donald Trump. You will never see these people come back and say something similar, something congruent, something even close about what Joe Biden did. You wouldn't have them do anything near that. And that's the problem. They made such a stink about the idea that Trump would even think about pardoning his kids, which there was probably never legitimately a thing. Donald Trump never pardoned his kids. It never came to fruition. We don't even know if it's true. Joe Biden actually pardoned his family. His son was pardoned earlier, and he pardoned all of his political cronies who could have potentially committed crimes against you, the American people. And none of these people are going to talk about it whatsoever. I think Scott Jennings may have said something to this degree.
I thought this was an incredible speech, honestly, and truly watching Donald Trump indict these gangsters to their faces while they had to sit right in front of him in that intimate setting in the rotunda for Republicans was remarkable. They had to sit there and take it just minutes after Biden, who we're looking at here, pardoned his entire family. I mean, it was glorious. By the way, I love the rotunda setting. I thought it was regal. I thought it was awesome. And listening to him talk about how he's going to exercise his power today reminded me that he is absolutely ascendant. He is at the apex of his political power right now. And, you know, the promise of a new presidency is enormous. You get this power and you have influence, and the mandate is to change people's lives for the better and to restore American prestige. And he began to explain how he was going to do that immediately. The mandate's simple. It's economic relief. It's fix the immigration crisis, steer the country away from the cultural left, and restore American prestige. The speech hit several notes on that front, and I agree with Caitlin. Today, Republicans feel vindicated, and Trump is back to fix the country. Donald Trump today, we've spent 99% of our time today, and Democrats spent 99% of their time during the election talking about January 6th. And I would just humbly and respectfully submit to you all that if this is the conversation you intend to have and the script you intend to read for the next 4 years, you are going to continue to get politically punished by the American people who are desperate to look into the future and not continue to wring hands about the only person. I'm sorry. The only person. Well, watching Donald Trump's day today, I'm just struck by the fact that we have a president again. I mean, look at this guy's day. 3 speeches, 196 executive actions, holds a 90-minute press conference narrating each one as he goes along. I mean, Joe Biden could not and would not offer the kind of transparency or vigor to the American people that we got here on day one from Trump. And tonight, Trump's going to throw on a tux and go to 3 balls. I mean, he's having an active day. I think it's going to be a massive amount of contrast here for a presidency like what we're going to see out of Trump and versus what we've had out of Biden. I was watching Trump today, and Van and I were talking earlier today, watching him walk down the hall of the Capitol, and the words that came to mind to me were gritty, resilient, determined, and audacious. There's not like a more perfect advertisement for the value of these qualities in modern America. I mean, you think about all the things that happened to him. Winning, losing, the court cases, nearly being assassinated. It's rather audacious what he has accomplished, winning this election and taking office today. And you said you were in shock. Well, Republicans are in awe.
What about the pardons? What's your take on that?
Here's what I think. Were these people punished? Yes. Were they ruined financially? Yes. Did they spend time in jail? Yes. Have their lives been ruined? Absolutely. And one of you said earlier, Van or Axe, that you think this sends a terrible signal that you can get away with things like this, as though we've never had a moment in recent American history when people were not punished for rampaging around when they shouldn't have been. It was the summer of 2020. And these people were actually punished. Those people were never even charged.
But I just want to throw that out there, just for context, that this is what they had done. Now, as an update to what Donald Trump did pardon approximately 1,500 January 6 protesters and 6 commutations. And that's pretty much every single person that probably was involved in it. Here's my quick thoughts about Donald Trump's commutation and also pardons, is that I think that people that have been involved in the Capitol situation have done enough time in jail. Some of them deserve to go to jail. If you fighting police officers and bludgeoning people, you deserve to go to jail. For those who just walked in the Capitol building, should have never spent a single second in jail. They should have been trespassing. That should have been it. But Donald Trump signed an executive order pardoning about 1,500 of them and then commuting the sentences of 6 of them, which I'm totally in favor of. And not one Democrat can say anything about what Donald Trump did, because Joe Biden literally pardoned his criminal son and gave a overarching preemptive, essentially, which they call it clemency, to everybody that committed crimes that's associated with him. Only person I think he didn't put on there, because he probably didn't commit a crime, was Obama. And then he didn't put Hillary Clinton on there. So Donald Trump, if you're watching this, put Hillary Clinton in jail, please, while they playing games. Here's the clip of Donald Trump signing the executive order. Wrote a clip.
So this is a big one. Anything you want to explain about this? We hope they get him. We hope they come out tonight, frankly. They're expecting it. Approximately 1,500 people. Six commutations.
Were there any cases you did not commute or pardon people?
We're looking at different things, but the commutations would be the ones that we'll take a look at.
All right, so that's him addressing that with the news. I think that's our only clip that we have on that topic. So just so you know, I'm just going to read a couple different things so I can kind of be informed. I told my guys to research this a little bit so we can see the difference. There's a difference between pardoning and commutations, which also clemency, I think, is a sort of associated. But anyway, let's just go and look at the difference. A pardon is an act of forgiveness that removes all legal penalties and restores the person's civil rights. That means voting, holding office, carrying a gun, all of the above, as if the crime had never occurred, wherein a commutation reduces the severity of a sentence without erasing the conviction. And I think I said that before, but that's pretty much what it is. The scope of clemency, just so we can get the difference between terminology, the action encompasses full pardons and commutations, including those convicted of assaulting law enforcement officers. And so if I had to argue, clemency, pardon and commutation is a part of clemency. I think, if I'm saying it right, like not all clemency is pardons or commutation, but every pardon or commutation is a part of the scope of clemency. Let's see, notable recipients. Let's see, some former Proud Boy leader, Enrique. I mean, I knew him. He was a black dude. That's why they say it's all white people. Enrique Torrio, who was a former Proud Boy leader, previously sentenced to 22 years for this seditious conspiracy. Stuart Rhodes, a Oath Keeper founder, served an 18-year sentence of a similar charge. Other members, leaders, and affiliates of Proud Boys and Oath Keepers convicted of seditious conspiracy are a few of those. Let's see. Let me just read this. The implementation, it says the Attorney General was directed to dismiss approximately 450 pending cases related to the Capitol riots. And obviously people are upset with that. So there's just a few things that we noted so you can kind of see the difference between a commutation and a pardon. So Joe Biden didn't pardon his family or nothing. He gave them what they call commutation, or a form of clemency, to reduce the penalty of crimes that they could be convicted of, which essentially means that if they ever get convicted of a crime, they won't go to jail. I mean, that's pretty much what it is.